In a quiet, peaceful village nestled between rolling green hills and vast golden fields, there lived a kind-hearted man named Karam Dean. A respected blacksmith, he worked tirelessly to provide for his three beloved daughters, Aisha, Miriam, and the youngest, Zainab. Karam Dean's wife had passed away years ago, leaving him alone in the world to raise their children. Yet, despite his grief, he never let his daughters feel the absence of their mother. He showered them with love, ensuring they had everything they needed. Their home was simple but full of warmth, laughter, and the sweet scent of home-cooked meals. Zainab, the youngest of the three, was not only intelligent but also perceptive beyond her years. While Aisha and Miriam were gentle and trusting, Zainab had a sharp sense of judgment. She noticed things that others overlooked, subtle changes in people's behavior, hidden intentions behind friendly smiles, and whispers carried by the wind. As time passed, the girls grew older and took on the responsibilities of the household. They would prepare meals for their father, keep the house tidy, and share stories as they worked. Everything seemed peaceful, except for one visitor who arrived at their doorstep every day without fail. A widow from the village had developed a peculiar habit. She would visit Karam Dean's house daily, always with the same request to borrow fire. It was an odd request, considering she had her own hearth at home, but she insisted she needed their burning coals to light her own stove. Zainab, ever observant, was uneasy about these visits. "Why does she always come here?" she asked her sisters one evening as they prepared lentil soup. "Something about her feels wrong." Aisha, the eldest, shook her head with a soft smile. "She's just a poor widow, Zainab. What harm could she possibly do?" Miriam agreed. "We should be kind to those in need. That's what Baba always says." Zainab frowned, but said nothing. Something inside her warned that this woman was not as helpless as she seemed. What no one realized was that this widow harbored a sinister intent. Each time she visited, she would discreetly sprinkle ashes into Karam Dean's food. At first, he assumed his daughters had made a mistake in cooking. He loved them too much to scold them, so he merely endured the ruined meals in silence. However, the pattern continued. No matter how carefully the girls prepared his meals, something was always off. The food tasted bitter, sometimes even spoiled. One evening, after another ruined dinner, Karam Dean decided he needed to uncover the truth. That night, he pretended to leave for work, but instead hid behind a wooden partition near the kitchen. He watched as his daughters prepared a simple meal with utmost care, washing rice thoroughly, chopping fresh vegetables, and cooking with love. As the meal neared completion, the familiar knock came. The widow entered, her face painted with the usual sorrowful expression. "I have come for some fire," she said sweetly. Zainab's eyes narrowed, but before she could stop her, the widow moved swiftly. Under the guise of borrowing fire, she subtly sprinkled something into the food before leaving. Karam Dean's blood boiled. Now he knew the truth. The next morning, he confronted the widow. "Why have you been ruining my food?" he demanded. Feigning shock, she placed a hand on her heart. "Oh, dear Karam Dean, it was only a test. I wanted to see if you were a truly kind father, if you would blame your daughters for the food or trust them. And look, you passed the test. You are indeed a wonderful father." Karam Dean, despite his anger, found himself drawn to her beauty and cunning words. Her presence had stirred something within him. Perhaps the loneliness of many years, or perhaps a longing for companionship. Within days, he made a fateful decision. Without consulting his daughters, he married the widow. The once warm home of Karam Dean became a place of torment. The widow, now his wife, despised his daughters. She saw them as obstacles, standing in the way of her own comfort and the future of her daughter from a previous marriage. She made their lives miserable, forcing them to do all the household chores, depriving them of proper food, and treating them like servants. Aisha and Miriam suffered in silence, but Zainab's spirit refused to break. "Let's go outside," she urged one evening as she saw her sisters weeping. "Maybe fresh air will ease our pain." The three sisters wandered into the forest, their feet carrying them far from home. They found themselves beneath a large, ancient tree. The cool shade provided solace as they reminisced about their mother. Just then, an old man with a long white beard passed by. Hearing their cries, he stopped. "Daughters, what troubles you?" Zainab explained everything. Their stepmother's cruelty, their hunger, their sorrow. The old man nodded sympathetically. "Not far from here is my home. Outside it grows a pomegranate tree, heavy with fruit. Go and eat to your heart's content, grateful beyond words." The sisters found the tree and ate until their hunger was satisfied. From that day onward, whenever their stepmother starved them, they would sneak into the forest to feast on the fruit. But their secret did not remain hidden for long. The stepmother soon noticed that despite their suffering, the girls looked healthier each day, while her own daughter remained frail and unattractive. Suspicious, she sent her daughter to spy on them. When the girls saw the magical tree, she rushed home and revealed everything. The stepmother seethed with fury. That night, she clutched her head and moaned in pain. "Oh, my head! The only cure is the roots of a special pomegranate tree in the forest. You must have it cut down for me, Karam Dean." Blinded by love, Karam Dean ordered the tree to be destroyed. The next morning, the sisters arrived in the forest, only to find their beloved tree reduced to nothing but a heap of uprooted roots. They collapsed in despair, but once again, the old man appeared. "Do not cry," he consoled them. "When one door closes, another opens." Before their eyes, a stream of pure milk flowed from the earth. "Drink," he said. The sisters survived on the milk, but the stepmother soon discovered their new source of nourishment. Determined to rid herself of them, she ordered the villagers to destroy the old man's hut and bury the milk stream. This time, the sisters had nothing left. Knowing they could no longer stay in their father's house, they made a heart-wrenching decision. They packed their few belongings and left the village behind. Karam Dean only realized his mistake when it was too late. His daughters were gone. Regret consumed him, but it did not undo what had been done. As for the stepmother, she rejoiced in her victory, only to find that her own daughter remained as unremarkable as before. No matter what she tried, she could never steal the grace and beauty that had been natural to Karam Dean's daughters. In the end, fate delivered its justice. Misfortune followed the stepmother and her daughter, while somewhere in the world, Karam Dean's daughters found a new home where kindness and love prevailed. For what is done in darkness always comes to light.